Something has been bugging me all week. Why is a clapped-out 1998 Dodge with 250,000 miles still running strong? And why is the clean 2020 Ram sitting next to it in my bay already broke, with a payment book in the glove box? The more I looked, the angrier I got. Before every diehard in the comments starts typing, let me say something that is going to rub some of you the wrong way. Your dad's truck was not better than yours. The engine was, and there is a big difference there because it shapes everything I am about to walk you through. Those old Dodge trucks had sloppy transmissions, loose front ends, frames that rotted out, and dashboards that cracked into sharp little pieces in the summer sun. I have replaced more of all of that than I can count. But from the engine mounts inward, the people who built these things made something that flat out refused to die. And Ram has spent the last 15 years slowly forgetting how they pulled that off. Start with the gas trucks, because that is what a lot of your fathers actually drove. The 5.9 Magnum, the old 360, and its little brother, the 5.2, the 318. Cast iron block, cast iron heads, a camshaft you could practically set your watch to. These motors made about 245 horsepower. That is nothing by today's numbers. But they would run to 200 and 300,000 miles on lazy oil changes and whatever gas was cheapest that week. I had a 318 come through the shop with over 310,000 miles on it. Original internals, still pulling a trailer every weekend like it was nothing. The worst thing that engine ever did was weep a little oil from the intake gasket. A $50 part and an afternoon, and you forgot about it for another decade. When the 5.7 Hemi showed up in 2003, it was a good motor, and I want to be fair to it. The early ones did not eat camshafts. They had their own flaw though, and it is one nobody talks about. On the 2003 through 2008 trucks, the aluminum heads could actually drop a valve seat into the cylinder and wreck a piston. So even the good early Hemi had a landmine in it. Ram redesigned the engine in 2009 to fix that, and that is exactly when the real trouble started. Because that redesign added variable valve timing and that cylinder deactivation system you have heard called MDS. On paper, smart. Shut down 4 cylinders cruising down the highway, save a little fuel. In the real world, it started grinding camshafts to powder. Here is what actually happens, and I have had the oil pan off enough of these to tell you firsthand. The lifters ride on the cam on these tiny needle bearings. At idle, there is almost no oil splashing up to reach them. Those bearings starve, they seize, the roller stops rolling, and now you have got a frozen chunk of steel carving a flat spot into your camshaft. Then the metal shavings take a guided tour through your whole engine, and the repair is brutal. Camshaft, lifters, dropping the pan to flush out all the shrapnel, you are staring at $3,000 to $5,000 without breaking a sweat. Owners on the Ram forums have been screaming about this for years. There is even a lawsuit over it. And I love the argument those owners made. They said a Hemi is supposed to last 200,000 miles, and the valve train should go well past 100,000, and Ram sold them something that does not. A judge tossed out the big nationwide part of that case, so the company never had to admit a thing. There was no recall, and no fix offered. If your warranty is up, that bill is all yours. I will say it plainly, because you guys ask me this in the comments constantly. I think cylinder deactivation is one of the dumbest things Ram ever bolted onto a perfectly good engine. Now to be fair, and I went digging on this, the failures often show up on cylinders that do not even have the deactivation, so it is not the only villain. The deeper problem is all the idling. These trucks sit and idle at drive-thrus and job sites for hours, and that camshaft never gets spun fast enough to get drenched in oil. But here is my thing. Ram knows people idle their trucks. They designed the truck, so design around it. Oh, and while that Hemi is busy snacking on its own camshaft, it will probably eat a water pump too. I have seen these go at 20,000 miles. I had one limp in at barely 18,000. The old Magnum would spin a water pump until the body rusted off around it. This thing treats them like a part you just throw away. Throw a Gates pump on it and move on, because the factory one is not your friend. But there is also e-Torque, Ram's little mild hybrid setup on the newer Hemi. They yanked out the alternator and dropped in a motor generator and a 48-volt battery pack behind the back seat. When it works, fine. When it does not, owners are getting quoted thousands of dollars. And there was already a recall on more than 130,000 trucks, because the software could make the engine just stall out on you while you are driving. And here is the punchline. I have yet to meet an owner who sees real fuel savings from it. So you bought a complicated new failure point for nothing. Word is Ram is already planning to drop it. Shocking, I know. But the gas trucks are not even the heart of this story. The real legend, the reason your father swears by these trucks at every family barbecue, lives under the hood of the diesels. So let us talk about the engine that started the whole myth. The 12-valve 5.9 Cummins built from 1989 to 1998. This is the one. This is the million-mile motor, and it earned that name the hard way. It came straight out of farm and commercial equipment, so it was overbuilt for a pickup from the first bolt. Cast iron block, cast iron head, gear-driven cam, forged steel rods that will hold together under almost 1,000 horsepower. The injection was fully mechanical, no computer deciding when to squirt the fuel. On the 1994 and up trucks, you got the Bosch P-pump, an inline mechanical pump you can adjust with a wrench in your own driveway. That clapped out 1998 I opened with is a 12-valve, and 250,000 miles is barely getting warmed up for one of these. There is an actual club of these things that have crossed 1,000,000 miles, dozens of them, and the record holder is sitting at more than 3 million on the original long block. There is one owner whose odometer got replaced more than once just to keep counting, because the gauge gave out long before the motor did. Think about that for a second. The instrument cluster died of old age and the engine kept going. Now, I am not going to sit here and pretend it was perfect, because that is exactly the rose-colored glasses trap I warned you about up top. Part of the legend is just survivors talking. The ones that died young are not posting on the forums, so you only ever hear from the winners. The engine really is tough, but not every old Cummins makes 1,000,000 miles, and anybody who tells you they all do is selling you something. The 12-valve has one nasty little secret called the killer dowel pin. There is a tiny steel alignment pin pressed into the block behind the timing cover, and there is nothing holding it in place. Over the years, it can vibrate its way loose, drop down into the timing gears, and in about 5 seconds, your valves are meeting your pistons and your engine is finished. No warning light, no noise, just done. The fix is a little tab kit that costs about $50 in an afternoon, so the most reliable engine Ram ever sold could be killed by a part worth less than your lunch. That is the kind of thing you only learn once. The 24-valve that came next got a little more complicated. The early ones used an electronic pump that liked to die whenever the weak factory lift pump starved it of fuel. And there was a batch of blocks cast down in Brazil, the ones with 53 stamped on the side, that could crack under hard towing. So even the old diesels had their booby traps. But you could see them coming, you could fix them in your own garage, and they did not take the whole truck down with them. Now, the modern 6.7 Cummins is, on paper, a beast, over 1,000 pound-feet of torque. But they buried that engine under a mountain of emissions hardware. The particulate filter, the exhaust fluid system, the EGR cooler, all of it clogging, failing, throwing the truck into limp mode, costing thousands once the warranty is a memory. There is even a thing called cylinder washdown. The truck dumps raw diesel into the cylinders to clean out that filter, and some of it slips past the rings and waters down your oil. But that is not even the part that really gets me going. In 2019, Ram put a brand new fuel pump on the 6.7, the Bosch CP4. Smaller, higher pressure supposed to be the better unit. Instead, it started destroying itself. When that pump lets go, it grinds itself into metal filings and pumps them through your entire fuel system. Injectors, lines, rails, the tank, all of it. A $10,000 repair, sometimes more. So what did Ram do about it? In 2021, they recalled more than 200,000 trucks, pulled the brand new CP4 right back out, and bolted the old CP3 back in, the pump they had trusted for years, the pump that actually worked. Let me make sure that one lands. Ram recalled 250,000 trucks to put the older part back in. If you ever wanted proof in writing that newer does not always mean better, there it is. That recall is this whole video in a single piece of paper. But here is the one I will go to war over in the comments. The 3.0 Eco Diesel. I think it might be the worst engine Ram ever dropped into a half-ton truck, and I will tell you exactly why. The EGR cooler on these can crack, dump coolant into the intake, and actually set the truck on fire. There was a recall on around 108,000 of them, and owners report the replacement coolers failing too. Some folks are on their second and third one. On top of all that, Ram got caught cheating on the emissions tests with this engine. They paid a government fine of more than $300 million. And by the time owners got paid out, the whole mess cost them somewhere around $800 million. An engine that lies, leaks, and lights itself on fire. Tell me I am wrong. The comment section is right there waiting. But maybe the saddest part of all this is not even the engines, it is everything wrapped around them. Because Ram did not just complicate the motor, they complicated the entire truck. Take the 4-corner air suspension they started hanging on the 1500. 5 height settings, drops itself down on the highway, looks amazing in the brochure. Then around 50 or 60,000 miles an air spring starts leaking, or the compressor quits, and you walk out to a truck sitting flat on the ground like a tired dog in the driveway. The dealer quote to fix the whole system can hit $10,000, 10 grand. The smart owners I know just ripped the entire thing out and put a $900 coil spring kit in its place. A luxury feature you pay good money to delete. But the nastiest one is the totally integrated power module, the big electronic fuse box brain on a lot of these trucks. When road salt and moisture work their way into that thing, the truck starts doing whatever it feels like. The fuel pump runs all night, the horn honks by itself, the windows drop, the doors lock and unlock with nobody touching them. I have had customers come in dead serious that their truck was haunted. It was just a rusted out module, and Ram never recalled it. By the way, if you want the full story on the death wobble, that violent shaking these solid front axle trucks get at highway speed, I did a whole separate video on just that, because it earned its own. The short version is the old trucks shook, the new ones still shake, and the company has quietly tweaked the steering twice without ever once saying the words out loud. And the frames. The second generation trucks and a chunk of the later ones rust right through at the cross member over the fuel tank, to the point where the tank can literally drop out of the truck. There was a recall for exactly that. So even the steel got thinner while the sticker price got fatter. Your father's truck was built to be fixed. A set of injectors for that old Cummins ran a few $100s, and you could swap them yourself. A set for the modern common rail diesel runs $2,000 to $3,000, and they want replacing around 140,000 miles. The old transmission had a dipstick and a drain plug and a Saturday afternoon. The new one is sealed up with no dipstick at all, special fluid, and a job that basically forces you back to the dealer. Piece by piece, they took a truck you could keep alive forever and turned it into one you rent from your loan company for 60 months. Now, I promised you I would be fair, and I meant it, because I am not here to sell you a rusty nostalgia trip. The modern trucks crush the old ones in a whole lot of ways, and pretending otherwise would make me no better than a guy yelling at clouds. That old 5.9-liter gas engine made 245 horsepower. The current Hemi makes nearly 400 horsepower. The old 12-valve made 440 pound-feet of torque. The new diesel makes more than double that. Your dad's 1 ton might tow 13,000 pounds on a good day, and a modern dually will pull better than 30,000 pounds. Now, part of that gap is that the old ratings came before everyone measured towing the same way, so it is not a perfect apples-to-apples fight, but it is not close either. These trucks are safer, they stop shorter, and they will not freeze you half to death in January. And I will give Ram real credit on one thing, because credit is earned. That ZF 8-speed automatic transmission they switched to is the best decision they have made in 30 years. No contest. Smooth, efficient, and it holds up under serious miles. Compared to those grenade-prone old 4-speed automatics behind the Cummins, it is not even a conversation, so no, it is not all downhill. But here is the difference, and this is the whole point of standing here for 20 minutes. The modern truck is better the day you drive it off the lot. It is faster, safer, more comfortable, and it sits right near the top of the 3-year rankings for trucks that break down the least. The Ram 1500 actually finished #1 this year. The catch is what happens at year 10. At 200,000 miles, when the warranty is long gone and the air suspension is leaking and the cam is wiped and the fuel pump just salted your entire fuel system. Your father's truck was designed to be fixed in a driveway with hand tools for the rest of its natural life. Yours was designed to be impressive for 60 months and then quietly become somebody else's headache. So if you are out shopping a used Ram right now, that is the lens I want you looking through. Not how quick it is off the line, how fixable it is when it is old, high mileage, and out of warranty. That one number decides whether you get 300,000 happy miles or a stack of $3,000 repair bills. And before you go put money down on a brand new one, do yourself a favor and watch my video on the 5 reasons you should wait for the 2027 Ram 1500. There is a change coming for 2027 that turns the 2026 into the exact truck you do not want sitting in your driveway. And the buyers signing papers at the dealership right now have no idea. I will see you over there.